Welcome to Shooty SuperCoach. How's it going, guys? Going to take a look at the teams in a second. I'm going to lose my final trade, or use it, I should say, this week. So probably not ideal, but Sam Walsh is out for a little bit, so I'll tell you who I'm bringing in later in the video. But got our list from the live sesh the other night. Talked about some replacements for Ridley, replacements for Walsh. Rowan Marshall, I'm hoping gets named. We'll have a look at the teams live in action in a minute. Callum Mills also under a bit of doubt. We'll assess that one. Luke Jackson, just want to talk about him. I think he's got a real opportunity to end the season really well. And just some cheaper options. A few people were asking on the live, who can I get down back for 520, and same thing for the forward line. So just discussing a few of those options. But we'd love to know how many trades you've got left, and give me your best trade of the year and your worst trade, mind you. I mean, you guys don't have to go far to acknowledge my worst trade of the year. Errol Goulden to Stephen Cornelia. Yep, certainly burnt me. I'll live with that one forever. But in terms of my best trade, I reckon bringing in Marcus Windhager has been one of the best trades I've made. Copped a bit of initial flack at the time. It was a bit left field. It's turned out to be brilliant. And maybe in a month, I might be able to say bringing in George Hewitt for an M9 option, maybe he could be one of my best trades for the year. But we'll see how that one sort of unfolds. But let's get stuck into it, because I'm pretty keen to jump into this, upload it, get straight into the cricket. Man, haven't these Poms just whinged, mate? You would have thought that they were the ones that are up 2-1. Far out. This baseball, mate, it's a delusion. They've been telling themselves, we should have won the first test. We probably should have won the second. And then obviously got rained out. So maybe we should be 3-1 up. I mean, come on. I really do hope. I know it's in theory a dead rubber, but it'd be great to knock them off and just stick it up those Poms once again. So that'll start pretty soon. Looking forward to watching that. But teams, as always, just be good to us. No surprises. We don't need any of that shit. It's this time of year that we're getting serious in draft as well. Like, getting really to the business end of draft. So that's another reason I need Rowan Marshall fit and firing. Isn't this going to be a cracker of a game? Collingwood and Carlton. And look at that for some trades, or changes, I should say. So Chera comes back and Cripps comes back. So I just wonder, I don't think it'll affect... Well, it will affect Hewitt. He won't get as much opportunity, but still named as a follower. And, I think probably Kennedy being out for that extended period of time is the big benefit for him. But nothing too crazy from a SuperCoach point of view. Same can be said for this one. Rory Laird is back. That's crucial. That's what we needed. Definitely needed that. Ridley will hurt a few. We'll touch on that. What are the Cats doing? Nothing too much. Sub and sub, so that's awfully confusing. Don't know if Matty Johnson maybe hurts a few. Who knows? But Will Ashcroft might hurt some as well, but we certainly knew that a long way out, and I don't think Charlie Constable will ever play a game again. Doesn't seem to matter what he does. Cool. Nothing too crazy going on there. Be good to us. No Rowan Marshall. Good. Stays in. Could be a laid out. Who knows? But no damage done so far. And who else did I need back? I knew Tom Green probably wasn't coming back, so that's fair. Yeah, that's all well and good. So again, Brodie Grundy gets named on what I can only presume is an extended bench. So I don't really know what they're doing there, but surely he doesn't play. And then again, Elliot Yeo comes back. They may help some. Yeah, okay. So we are all G there. Let's dive into it. It's been a ripper week for Shorty. I've been feeling great. We're going to have a look at that score again, mate. The amount of times that I've just logged on just to see that 23 again, mate. Maybe it's self-indulgent. Maybe I'm just obsessed with my own SuperCoach score. But you know what? I probably am this week. So give me a break. Come on. But how am I shaping up this week? Pretty much business as usual. We get Tom Green back, which is cool. No, we don't. I'm just looking at him and said it. I meant to say Rory Laird. So we get Rory Laird back. I'm so tempted to go a unique VC, but I just think Bontempelli is the play into James Sicily, who has really burst on the scene as a captain option with some of the numbers he's done. Not just last week, but he's had some huge scores prior to that suspension. So what I'm going to do, right, Sammy Walsh here, we are going to scroll down all the way to about 560 odd, and look how beautifully this fits in. $100 left for my final trade. There you go. Now, some people have been asking, do I hold, do I trade? Like these players who are 1, 2, 3 weekers, what do you do? It's totally comes down to A, how many trades have you got? Can you afford to do it? B, what's your coverage like? Do you have a Marcus Windhager, or do you have a George Hewitt? Can maybe fill in a little bit. And C, what are you sort of going for? Do you want to win your leagues? Are you just going for a respectable overall? And sometimes league finals are at different stages of the year as well. So it all comes down to that. Why have I traded Sam Walsh, my last trade? It's because Tom Green's a week away. So I've got, let's just say Green is in and I put George Hewitt on the bench. And let's say, oh no, I've lost a defender. Jack Sinclair's gone down. Not to worry. We've got, Doherty over here. And then we just bloody chuck old mate Doherty on the field. Cool. Bit of durability there, or dual position. And then we just go, boom, George Hewitt fills me over there. Beautiful. So we've got coverage, defence, and back. But obviously, I'm hoping that we don't cop any late outs or anything like that. What does really matter is if I cop an extended injury. So I'm pretty well covered to cover 1 or 2 weeker or resting, because you got Windhager as well. Same goes for, say if I had a Ford that was out, then we can just easily go boom, Roberts, and you get what I'm doing here. And you can throw a few players around, because ideally Tom Green is back. Cool, bang. And the same goes for when I can swing Darcy Cameron into the ruck. So basically, if I have a bloke who's injured, I can cover him on any line with a premium. What I can't afford is to have multiple injuries, but I've got a bit of faith in Windhager, and I feel like I can be on 0 trades with this team. And if I get absolutely ridiculous poor luck, then so be it. But that's pretty much what it comes down to. Look at your team. How comfortable are you being on 0 trades? Do you have that flexibility to swing your team around to cover some of them on any line? Because there's no point having a great M9, but you've got no one that you can swing to the back line to cover a premium for. Because then what happens if Nick Dacos gets rested? We're in some strife. So make sure you got yourself covered. But that's what I'm doing. And I feel okay with it. I feel like, we're pretty well covered here. It's a team of premiums. I don't have any Will Days or anything like that are maybe premiums or Sheasel. I feel fairly confident that all these guys are genuine premiums. Obviously, George Hewitt, maybe not, but he's an M9. That's how I'm looking at him. So, yeah, it was good to see a few of those players back in business. So, yeah, pretty much that's how I'm approaching it. I personally didn't want to hold Walsh because it could be 2, it could be 3. It cuts into my finals. And I sort of think, well, what if I'm holding that trade for a day that never comes? What if I get just really good luck for the rest of the year? No one gets injured, no one gets rested. It's unlikely, but, I've got a bloke who's out for 2 or 3. So let's just pull the trigger. And it just had to be a defensive mid, because I wanted that swing to the back line. And for it to work out with $100 left for Doherty, I thought, look, maybe that's just meant to be. The stars have aligned. So that's the way we've approached it. But let's dive into a few of the players you were talking about, and maybe a few replacements for those. Ridley's a tough one. I mean, that is what really hurts when you get a guy who just is gone for the rest of the year pretty much. So what's he priced at? 513. Caleb Daniel, I'm pretty sure, was the guy that I had this question on the live a few times. I think Daniel was the guy. So I'm presuming, some people might have a bit of coin in the bank. Some may not. But, clearly all these guys are guns because they're expensive. So clearly they've been scoring well. But if you don't have cash to throw around, what can you do? I like Caleb Daniel. Hopefully you've got 6K spare. But if you've got next to nothing, what can you do? Brayshaw, I'm not as much of a fan. He's played great time in the midfield lately, but that'll change when Oliver comes back. It's very, very tough around this stage because, look, Bailey Dale is a tried and true, but he's been a bit off this year. Look, Sheasel is going pretty solid. He's been very consistent, but there isn't much. So Jake Lloyd is probably the guy that I would trust the most out of all this. But again, you probably have Sheasel, but yeah, I'd really like you to trade Ridley for an absolute premium. So try and find that extra coin, even if it's 30k or whatever, just to get up to a Sinclair but you might not have that. So in terms of Sammy Walsh, clearly I went Doherty. I think Doherty's probably going to go back to more of a half-back flank role with those mids back in, but I still think he was scoring pretty reasonable. So Walsh is about 535, I think. And look, there's a lot of people are saying, I've got about 600k to spend. Who do I pick? I think Libba and Davies-Uniacke are the clear front runners around that sort of price range. Parrish is clearly a good player, a little bit injury prone. The two boys from Freo, both playing great footy. I presume you've already got Rosie. I'm not telling you much you don't know here. I mean, they're very good players. They're priced at that for a reason. If we get a bit more cheaper, I do think Steele, look at that 3-week average, even the 5-week average. Very, very good. Back in some form. But again, if you don't have much money and you need someone who's less than Walsh, then who can we go? I think Butters is a great option. Cornelio, Cogs has been a little bit undersold, I think. He's been really consistent. It hasn't been his best year, but I think he's actually built into the year pretty well. The bloke's averaging 100, so it's been all right. It's been okay. He's copped a bit of a harsh whack at times, but I don't know. Could you trust Cripps to just come back in? If he'd been playing, I'd have a little bit more faith, but there isn't too much else. You could go all the way down to George Hewitt if that equals your M9. That might spread you some coin to use elsewhere for like a Ridley or something like that. Josh Kelly, I had a fair few people saying, do I go Miller or Josh Kelly? I'm going Josh Kelly for sure. Now, he got tagged real bad. Couldn't shake it. That hurts. It'll happen. But the role is fine for Kelly. He's their main guy, inside mid. Him and Tom Green and Cornelio, they're the guys. Tuke Miller's come back and, to my surprise, actually hasn't been the guy. It's more so been Anderson, Rowell and Flanders. So, I don't know. I think Miller will work his way back into more centre bounce time. But he actually hasn't been the guy that we once knew. So, I'd be a little bit hesitant going him. But yeah, they're probably a few. Look, if you need that discount price, Josh Kelly for sure. If you've got a bit of cash to splash, then Luke Davies-Uniacke, I find hard to go past. He's an absolute jet. And look, Mills is playing, so all good. Now, let's look at a few guys. Like I said, down back, there isn't too much when we get a bit cheaper, but the forward line, there actually is. And Luke Jackson is one of those guys. And we saw him turn up last week. And I think without Sean Darcy, we're going to get a really good look at the sole ruck, Luke Jackson. And I think that's a guy who averages great numbers. So you could go him. Ben Keys, a few people getting worried about. It's been a poor 3 weeks for Keysy. Centre bounce numbers are a bit of a concern, so I'd be a bit worried about that. But you could go Flanders, no doubt about it. Sometimes there's a part of me that goes, will Miller take over from him a little bit, or is he just the informed guy and they're going to give him a chance and King's a new bloke at the helm? I'm not too sure, but you can't argue with the form Flanders is in. He's playing great footy. Luke Jackson, I think he'll have a massive 5 weeks or however many weeks we've got left. And then if you keep going down, there are actually a couple of options that if you're really struggling for cash, I think are solid F6 options. Bailey Smith is one of those. He's a roller coaster. He's had some stinker weeks, but you could do worse. And if we really start to go down, and he does have a bit of a shoulder concern, but if you are like, mate, I need some discount cash somewhere and I've got Hewitt or whatever, look how far I'm bloody scrolling here. Jeremy Cameron is actually not the worst, and he's got upside. Disgraceful recent form. He's been injured. He's been knocked out. It hasn't been his time. Lots of games at the Cattery. He loves it. He's getting fitter by the week. He has been struggling, but he could be an option you could look at. But it's probably desperate times and comes with a fair bit of risk. So something to keep in mind. But yeah, that's about all I got for you today. 0 trades, hectic times, cross your fingers, but just weigh it up. How much are you going to need those trades? How much coverage do you have? Where do your priorities lie? Do you need a win this week? Do you just want to be doing better in 4 weeks? Each to their own, horses for courses, but just weigh it up and see how we use these final trades. So I've pulled the trigger on my last one. Would love to know what you are thinking on the trade table. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Let's get stuck into some cricket, shall we? Cheers.